Hola, ¿qué tal, Dual? We are back talking about our voice of Santos Bravos. I know that I was gone for a bit and a lot of things happened. So I wanted to catch up on the basically like wrapping up their Korean tour of the promotions. They were in a couple shows. They were on SBS and Inkigayo's Snap Cuteness. They were also on the Daebak Show with Eric Nam, who I love, love, love. And then also they were on Hello82. They had like a couple of videos on hello82, like a couple of what do you want to call them, activities that they did, which included obviously showcasing their singing. All of them showcased their singing. I think the one that all of us had the biggest laugh was when they were doing which is one of my favorite segments, when they have the artists sing their songs but in different languages. So obviously they had them do all of their songs, but I think the hardest one was Velocidade, because it was like in Portuguese and then you had to switch to Korean, but all the other songs also switching, like obviously they're a little bit of English with the Spanish, but then switching to Korean, and then just our boy Gabi stole the show on that one. I love him. But anyways, we're gonna start off talking about the appearance I did with Snap Cuteness, which was hosted obviously by SBS Inkigayo, their YouTube channel. Just want to talk about, I'm not going to talk in big length about it, just want to talk about little things that caught my attention that I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on and give you guys like a little bit of information for those of you that are not super familiar with like Korean traditions and culture. I kind of did not agree with the comment and how they were kind of teased and hazed about not doing their greeting correctly. I think that the information that we're giving was a bit incorrect. If we want to tie it back to Korean culture and being respectful. So yes, when you are greeting like anybody brand new, take away the official greeting of obviously they're like, we're Santos Bravos, right? We're Santos Bravos. If you take that greeting, if you're just meeting somebody in person, you would just say 안녕하세요, 저는 케르입니다, 반갑습니다. And then you would do like a bow, especially if you're younger, to meeting somebody older. You would bow in a sign of respect. You would also shake their hands, shake their hand, but you would do it with both hands. So you would be doing something like this instead of how we normally here in like the US and even in Mexico, you know, you shake your hand like this. But in Korea, if you're greeting somebody older than you have to let them initiate the handshake first of all, but you hold your hand with your other hand. So it's like two-handed, almost like a two-handed greeting. It's a sign of respect, and you also do the bow. And I feel that's what the people in the show were trying to like convey to them when they said that they did their greeting incorrectly, like one-handed. I don't think agree with the way they expressed it, because they weren't actually like shaking hands. They were just doing their hand signal. So for them to say like when they're saying Somos Santos Bravos, that they had to do it like this, that's wrong. And the reason I can say that's not accurate, that's not true, because yes, TXT, their hand sign is like something like this. And Hyphen, their hand sign is like something like that, because it's like connect and connect and connect. But BTS, their hand sign is 둘, 셋, 방탄소년단. They just do it like boom, and it's one-handed. They're just like boom. But they close that greeting by bowing. So I guess the reason why Santos Bravos got called out is because they bowed first and then they said, we are Santos Bravos, when they should have said, we are Santos Bravos, nice to meet you, and ending with the bow. So that's why I was like, I don't know about them being kind of like teased about doing the greeting incorrectly, because like I said, BTS is like 둘, 셋, 방탄소년단, and they don't do it two-handed, they just do it like boom, and it's like a 7 almost, like this, or like a gun. But that's why I was like, I don't know about that part, teasing them about that. I did like the little games that they had to do, kind of like to earn being able to talk to the guy that was gonna tell them about their future and like talk to them about their worries. That they had them do taste, like a taste test of different Korean drinks. Another thing that I wanted to know and explain to you guys is when Alejandro was tasting it was almost like a type of cider, if I remember correctly, or like a coffee. If you guys noticed, he did this. Like, he brought the cup to his mouth and he went like this and drank to the side. And the staff was like, oh, wow, like amazed. And that goes to another cultural aspect when you're showing respect. So then this is mostly when you're like with your family or at your work, if you go with people that are from your work that are older, like older than you, or they're your bosses, your superior, you as somebody like the subordinate, you know, you're not the boss, you answer to somebody and your boss is there also, or you're with your parents, your grandparents, and they're also there and they're going to have a drink. First thing, they drink first. Second, you as the younger person, as a sign of respect, you turn your face to the side and you drink. You don't like drink it like we usually do, like face on, like front on, you know? You do it to the side. And that's why everybody in the staff from the show was like, oh wow, they're like surprised that Alejandro knew this. And that's another reason why I'm like, you can tell that Alejandro actually likes Korean culture and is interested in culture. It's not just the aspect of K-pop, because obviously we know that he listens to K-pop and there's groups that he likes. Obviously they all say they like BTS. Gavi, I feel like he's gained indoctrinated into the like, you have to listen to BTS because there are some big names. But I feel like for the most part, everybody else is very aware of who BTS is, also being part of the same company. But those little things that Alejandro kept like mentioning and like doing show that he's actually looking into the culture. So I really appreciate that. I feel like we have like two fanboys, one with Kawe being like the BTS fanboy, but the other one with Alejandro being like, I like their music, I like the style, I want to learn more about them, learn about the culture, learn about the nuances. So I really like that in that aspect. The other thing I wanted to mention is the drink that Kawe drank. Once I saw it, I was like, oh my god, that is one of my favorite drinks. It's very refreshing. It's called morning rice. I forget the name in Korean, but if you guys saw it, it was like white and milky. It tastes just like horchata. So it's morning rice, so it's made out of rice, but it tastes just like horchata. That's why if like you've ever had horchata and you're like, especially I feel like that's a very popular drink in Mexico. We're known for like having horchata in Mexico. So once I saw it, I was like, he's gonna recognize it right away because they live in Mexico. So he's had horchata. So once he drank it, he's like, it tastes like a rice drink because it's morning rice. That's what the English translation. It's like, oh, I forgot the name in the Korean. But if you guys ever have a chance to try it, definitely try it. If you like horchata, you're gonna love that drink. The other thing that I want to talk about is obviously how they were asking about their concerns about like their future. Kenneth asking a little about his acting, Coward asking about a little bit about being told about a little bit how he's gonna be able to like help people once he's in the future. He's gonna help other people like get into the business, and it taps into what he wants to do, like go back and turn around and like give back to Brazil, you know, where he's come from, and make it easier for people who are interested in music to get into it, so it wouldn't be as like a hard road. So for him, he's like very, I want to be an example, and I don't want to just be like, I made it through, I broke through. I want to provide like a gateway for other fellow art lovers, like musicians, to be able to reach their dreams as well. And then the same with all of them, just asking about their future, how Alejandro was said that you could tell that he's shy. He acts like outgoing, but he's a very like shy person, but he's very like artistic, but not like super like expressive as definitely like Gavi or like Kenneth, you know, that are a little bit more comfortable like expressing themselves and being themselves. Obviously Alejandro and Gavi feel more comfortable goofing off with them because they know each other, but once they're outside with like strangers, it's a different personality. The one thing that I did, like obviously you take it with a grain of salt if you believe in the whole like fortune telling or anything like that. All the answers that the guy found, like was mentioning, he probably looked them up, like what is this person about, and had like a little history, so he was able to give answers that tied into what they had already talked about in other interviews. But if you guys notice, he kept mentioning like in 2029 is going to be a big year. You're going to have a world tour. That's going to be your like most successful. That's going to be your breakout. And it's like, okay, it's to me, it's like, it's easy to say that and give a date. But if you think about it logically, 2029 is going to be about their 4th year since they've debuted. By their fourth year, that's when the momentum is like, if they already have this much momentum, by the 4th year, they're going to be very well established, and they are going to be touring in like doing a world tour, hitting multiple cities, multiple countries. They're going to be bigger because they're already so big as it is now, because Hive is doing such a good job of introducing them to different markets, because obviously Latin market, we already know that they are known in the Latin market, as their fan base is pretty big. Hive saw that they were getting like an Asian market with like the Chinese, Japanese fans, and so they introduced them to Korea, which a lot of Japanese and Korean Chinese fans listen to K-pop and tune into these shows. So that's how they introduced them more into the Korean market, because they knew that the other Asian countries were going to be watching these, but the Koreans maybe weren't as aware of them, other than, you know, their collab with Anteam, which is a Japanese-based group. So this was like a perfect segue for them to get into the K-pop market, like have more art fans that are into K-pop that aren't familiar with Latin pop get introduced to them and their charms, because literally the reason people fell in love with them, like a lot of the Korean fans, if you have noticed the comments on like any show they've been on YouTube, it's how like, wow, I really love their charisma, I really love their energy, I love their banter between each other. You could tell it's a really unique and honest like banter between brothers. It's like a brotherhood. It's not fictional, it's not fake, it's authentic. So that's what the fans want. That's what like new fans want to see. They want to see something that's, even though they were manufactured through this show where they have to compete, they have the talent, they have the vocals, but they also have the personalities that make you fall in love with them, and that's why they're gaining a bigger fan base. There were also with whatever, you know, with anything, whenever other fan bases feel threatened because a new group is encroaching on their territory, you know, we're gonna have like negative comments, but like I said in previous videos, don't engage them. Just let them rage bait themselves and just focus on your group, focus on Santos Bravos, because in the end, hate comments or positive comments are still giving them viewership, but just don't engage, because then you don't win. They just want to keep hating. So that's what I loved about that Snap Cuteness, that they once again were able to showcase a little bit more of their personalities, but also kind of give them like a little bit of hope towards their future, which is, if Hive keeps promoting them the way they've been doing, and because I feel like this past couple weeks they've been so booked and busy that they're getting up even more viewership, like more exposure to new people. As obviously us fans that know of them support them, but like new fans are getting to know them and falling in love with them and deep diving into their music, you know. So that's what I liked about the Snap Cuteness interview. And then the other interview that literally just dropped this weekend was their appearance with on the Daebak Show with Eric Nam. If you guys remember, I think it was like episode 1 or 2 of Santos Bravos, the making of the group. Eric Nam was one of the guests in Las Sesiones Bravas. Eric Nam speaks Spanish. He speaks it like a Spaniard, but obviously he's a little rusty. He dropped like a couple of sentences in Spanish during his little interview. But what I like about a little bit background of Eric Nam, he's a very, very tenured Korean American artist. He's very tenured in the Korean market. He is originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but when he wanted to be a singer, he knew that the market in the United States was not the best for him to be able to break through and have a good career, especially as a soloist. It's already tough enough as part of a group, but as a soloist it's even tougher. So he moved to Korea and decided to start there as a Korean singer, as a soloist. He is in the same group of like debuting people as BTS. That's how long he's been in the industry. But as a soloist, also, you don't have the same opportunities that group artists do in South Korea as far as like appearances and things. So with a lot of groups, and you've noticed also when Santos Bravos made the appearances on like Mnet Countdown, the show, that they have other idols, other artists being the MCs, being the hosts. That's how they get exposure. They're not always going to be like singing and dancing. They're also going to be hosting and talking to other fellow artists. That's how they get exposure, by being in like radio hosts like Eric from The Boys. So similar to that, Eric Nam, when he was starting out, he was a host of like I think it was like a weekly show where he would interview artists. They would come to his show and he would interview them. It was like obviously for one, I think it was for Mnet that was hosting it. And at one point, a couple times, he interviewed BTS. So Eric knows BTS, but he also knows a lot of people in the industry, in the K-pop industry, because he's interviewed them. He interviewed them when they were coming up, when he was coming up. They both like got that popularity, him from being the host of the show, then from appearing on his show and being able to, you know, showcase their personalities. Obviously, years later, once he's more established, his solo career is pretty established, him and his brothers created Dive Studios, which has like different types of content. Obviously, the Daebak Show is one of them, but Dive Studios also has this mindset podcast, which I haven't seen it update lately, but previous years they had a lot of Korean artists come and like have conversations about. It's called mindset because they have serious conversations about mental health and how to deal with it and like issues that they might be having. So you could check out that on the podcast. You can check it on Spotify. It's like really, really interesting. But he also has the Daebak Show with Eric Nam, where it's the same format that he had with the other channel, but now it's his, where he gets to interview artists. He gets to have like dynamics with the artists, you know, where they play games and things like that, to give the artists more like a platform for them to showcase who they are, showcase their personalities, talk a little about themselves. If they have an album, you know, promote the album. But this time it's his channel. That he's not working for another network. He's not working for Mnet. He's not working for SBS. It's his channel. So that means that now the artists are coming to him to appear on his show. I forget how he described the word Daebak, but I don't think he translated it the exact way that the Koreans use it. So Daebak is like an expression. And like if you want a direct translation, because it depends like on the way you say it, because it's like Daebak. So it could be like, that's awesome, that's amazing. So it's basically like the amazing show with Eric Nam. But it's like the Daebak Show with Eric Nam. So that's what that word means, Daebak. So he's saying his show is amazing. So, and another reason why I love Eric Nam, besides him being like immensely talented, such a soloist, he's going to be dropping music soon, so check it out. He's very charismatic. He's very good at engaging the artists that are visiting, his guests. He's very good at engaging them, making them feel at ease, goofing around with them, like you guys saw when Alejandro was showing off his aegyo, and he was like so cringed out because artists don't usually like to do aegyo. They find it cringy, but they're forced to do it for the fans. It's the fan service. But with the way that Alejandro is like so ready to do it whenever, Eric was like, oh my God, I can't believe you. And the way that he, you know, he can make like jokes with them, and he was saying like, oh, I feel like we're ascending, when Kawa did like his fe little bit. So he does a really good job of making his guests feel at ease and letting them be themselves and engaging with them. So that's like one thing that I really like about his show. On top of if they like getting information from them, he let them present themselves like individually, which I'm not sure, obviously maybe there's in other interviews, but this is, I think, one of the first times that I've seen them specifically verbalize their position. So Drew is the leader and the dance lead, obviously. I think he's the leader because he's the oldest, and I think this is one of the first groups that they actually make the oldest member be the leader. But I think it works out fine because, like he said in other interviews, everybody else is so young, so much younger than him, that they make him feel youthful, so he doesn't feel like as pressured, but he has that advantage of being the oldest, so he can be serious when they need to be. He can like hold them in line, you know, like, okay, let's get serious. Like I've said, I think all of us have guessed, Alejandro is our all-rounder. Kenneth is the matinee, and he's also one of the vocalists. Gabi is our visual, our center, our visual, because he's like a pretty boy. You cannot deny that when you saw him the first time walking in, that you thought this boy is in the group because he's the face. He's serving face. He's like the face of the group. And then obviously Kawe, our main vocalist. Duh, there's no question on that. So I thought it was interesting that they finally like officially said it. These are our designations within the group, even though they are all vocally great, but you know, some stand out better more than other in like specific aspects. Obviously Drew with the dancing, Kawe with the singing, Ale being our all-rounder because he can do the singing well, because that's obviously his forte, but he's also picked it up with the dancing. So I really liked that they mentioned that. And then also that the games that they played were pretty cute, you know, because it let them like loosen up and like be themselves again, have their personality shine. So whoever is a current watcher of the Daebak Show, they just got introduced to Santos Bravos and they know what the group is about because they talked about their positions. They talked a little bit about each one of the songs, what the theme is of the Dual album, and then they got to see them be themselves. I love that Eric had Kawe do like a little bit of the song Fe right after all the members had a chance to describe each other with 4 words, and they were nothing but loving with each other. Obviously, except Gabi, he was like holding off and just called Alejandro his friend, and Ale's like, what the hell, you know, that's like, after all that, I'm just your friend. But then he, you know, explained why. But the way they all refer to each other, you could tell that there's like a genuine bond, like a brotherhood there, and they appreciate and respect each other no matter their age, and they all learn of each other. So that's really good. But like I said, I like that Eric Nam asked Gawe to like showcase those vocals that Drew was talking about that really emote the feelings and like make you feel something. So I think they all sang it together. They sang like the little bit of the ending of Faye, and then Gawe showcases like vocal abilities, which totally wowed Eric. He had him repeat it again, the run, when it's like from the high to the and then like he was dying. So I love that Gawe got to shine, like, I am the main vocalist because of this, you know. And then the last part, as soon as he said, obviously every activation, every interaction, every game has to have a winner and has to have a loser. And with the minute that Eric said that the punishment was it Umdong Irumin Segi? I was dying. I had not seen that in such a long time, but he is right. It is a very, very common practice, especially in like variety shows when you're playing games and like you have to punish somebody, to have them write their names with their butt, like facing the camera. So it's always like a hilarious sight to see when you have like artists, idols doing this. So now to have Santos Bravos be christened into the fold and be embarrassed like that, because it was, I believe it was the losing team was Drew and Kawe. So that was hilarious, because I'm like, I feel like the two most likely to be embarrassed about it, they were forced to do it. So that was amazing. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and kind of like we're gonna go take a look at some of the performances, was their appearance on hello82. Like I mentioned in the intro at the beginning, obviously the most seen clip is when they're doing like the songs in different languages. That's like my favorite dynamic of hello82 that they've done with like every single artist. They have them do that, and it's hilarious when they're trying to learn, say it either in English, in Spanish, in German, you know, like in Chinese. It's hilarious. But obviously you guys might be new to hello82, those of you that are not like, that don't listen to K-pop, other K-pop groups. So hello82 is another online platform that gives like a space for artists to showcase who they are, promote their new music, and now they've expanded into having flagship stores, physical stores, because they also have online stores where you could buy the albums, but they now have physical stores where you can go in. There's one in Los Angeles that you can go into that store whenever there's like a new comeback. They will have the albums there. They will have like activities for the fans to do, you know, photo card exchanges, or like get lucky draws, which is when you win like a random like photo card, like extra besides what comes with the albums. So, but the main, where it started, the platform started, was being a platform where artists would come and promote their albums, their new comebacks, their new music, but also showcase who they are, like their personalities through activities like the singing in different languages, or like singing random songs like they did this time. So we're actually going to be listening to 2 of the songs that they did for their it was like a singing challenge, karaoke challenge, where they had to sing. They had to press the button, and the roulette would choose which members were selected, what song they were going to sing, and what the challenge of that song was. So the challenges were in between disappearing lyrics, which literally like the lyrics would get grayed out, or missing lyrics. So they had to, like, if you didn't know the song, you didn't know the lyric that was coming next. And then the other one was the mixed up lyrics. So it would show you the lyrics, but like not in the correct order. So you kind of had to know the song to know what lyrics were coming next. So I think the challenge there mostly was for Gawe, obviously, when it was songs in English that he didn't really know that well. So he had to like, because sometimes, even you guys know, when you're singing a song, if you have the music and the lyrics going, you're like, I know this song from top to bottom. I know what's coming next. But it's because subconsciously you have the guide, you have the song playing. But if you were to sing it on your own without with just the audio, just the melody, and not the vocals, sometimes we're like, what was the lyric? It's like, but I don't know the actual words. So that's kind of like, we can see that they had the same issue that most of us normal people have. But anyways, we're going to be checking out only 2 of the songs, because the other ones, you know, we're all familiar with. We know that Gawe can give amazing runs like he did in We Want You Back. We know that like Gabriella's a pretty easy song for them to sing. I did love seeing the backup dancers in the couch, you know, and like doing the choreo. That was hilarious, like the interactions from the peanut gallery in the side. But we're gonna be looking at the ones we're gonna be looking at is the Tutu by Camilo and Pedro Capi, and then Risk It All by Bruno Mars, and then we're gonna finish it off with Todo de Ti by Raúl Alejandro. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not familiar with any of the songs. I obviously know who Bruno Mars is and who Karol G is. Sorry, Camilo, but I haven't listened to Bruno's new album. I don't really listen to a lot of music in Spanish, to be honest with you guys. So this was new music for me, and I actually like, they made me want to listen to the songs, like the original songs, just by their performances. But the only reason I'm focusing on the Tutu and Risk It All is because I feel like those showcase their vocals a little bit more. And then the last one is just a vibe. So we're going to be checking those out. And I'll probably forget the names. As I'm listening to them, I'll probably forget the names, so please forgive me for that. Okay, let's see. Tutu, Camilo, Pedro Capo.
Okay, va. Dice. Let's go. Yo no sé de poesía ni de filosofía, solo sé que tu vida yo la quiero en la mía. Yo no sé cómo hacer para no tener.
I love the inflections.
La gana que te tengo.
I love his inflections.
Cómo hacer para no quererte. Yeah. Dice, tú, nadie como como tú, no hay un sustituto. Me quitaron la
Gaby.
te busco. Ay, Dios. Yeah.
They failed
Me
it.
quitaron la letra. Pero ¿y esto qué cosa es?
Este es el desafío. That's the game. That's the game.
Okay.
Okay. It didn't last long. Maybe it's a different song. But it was a little bit, we got to hear, I love the way you can, and when it starts, you could tell like that they really are musicians. And I feel like those of us that are more musically inclined, when we hear a beat, even if it's a brand new song we've never heard of, once we hear the beat, we're like, okay, let me get the rhythm, and you can jump right in the flow. Obviously, they know the songs, but they, like, Kenneth was starting to think, okay, how does this song go? What key do I sing it in? Okay, and go. And he, like, got it. And obviously, we could hear a little bit of his, like, lower register a little bit more, but then when Alejandro came in, he did the inflections, na 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 na. I love that because it's, like, so clear and just, like, the way he's emoting, the feeling, the vibe. But our boy Gabby, I feel like that would be me when I don't know how the song goes. You know, I think I got the beat, but I don't know the lyrics. And you're just trying to go with it. You just totally miss it. Kawe, he's like, ay Dios mío. That was hilarious. So that was the first one. What was the other one that I wanted to? That I wanted to see. It was, Bruno Mars, Risk It All.
Hey, you want to start off?
With the mariachi.
Let's go.
If you guys noticed, Kenneth was in most of the groupings. I don't know what Alejandro's doing.
Hey. For just a chance to win your heart, you could set the bar beyond the stars. So I'll do
The feeling.
anything,
Drew.
anything you ask me.
Harmonies. Professionals.
You want the moon,
Watch me learn to fly.
ain't no mountain you
Like Drew. Drew's falsetto.
I wouldn't climb. It's crazy, but it's true.
There's
Nothing I won't do. I'd risk it all for you.
Drew, he sounds so amazing.
To hold your hand
And call you mine.
I'm trying to be your man till the end of time.
Oh, Kenneth.
I'll do anything,
Gabby.
anything you
The harmonies. And you could tell, like, God was taking his cues from Kenneth.
just to be by your side.
Falsetto.
If the heart align, you can take mine. It's crazy, but it's true. There's nothing
And then he switched to his chest voice.
I risk it all for you.
These two, I love them.
Wow, qué hermoso.
They forgot they had to keep singing.
Is it keep? No, it's keep going. Just to hold you.
Go, Drew, saving
I
it.
could go on and on to prove that you belong here in my arms. Okay.
And then the music comes back in.
Let's go.
Let's go. That was scary.
Ey, pero me gustó, me gustó. Bien,
Wow.
lo disfruté. Saludos.
Okay, saludos.
Drew, save that. I think this is the first time that we hear. Obviously, first of all, I love that it was stripped down. It was just the guitar, you know, with the mariachi, the brass in the background. But then the one part where it was like they had to do it a cappella. They thought the song had ended, and Drew came in and like saved it. Because, you know, if you missed like if you missed up 3 times, you failed it. Like obviously Gabby did in the first one. But I loved hearing Drew's falsetto. Like he sounded so good. He's, oh my gosh. And even in the solo, like a cappella, considering he's not a singer, this is like, he was a dancer mostly, and he learned to sing and learned to use his voice. He sounded beautiful. I loved also the way that Kenneth was emoting, like the lines. He was like feeling it, you know. You could hear it in his voice. Like the color of his voice is like so unique. Obviously, he's still getting in that age range where it's not like his child voice anymore, but he's still a teenager, so he hasn't his like mature voice yet, the way that Alejandro does, and he has it more controlled and it sounds like more mature. But it sounds like perfect for his range because he still has it in such good control. He doesn't crack, he doesn't like miss notes or go off key, and he's still able to like give you that feeling. And then we have Kawe. One thing that I did notice, like in a lot of the songs, he was mostly using his falsetto, and even at the beginning of the challenge, I remember he asked Kenneth, "So should I do the falsetto?" Okay, so that's why he was singing mostly in falsetto, which, you know, yes, it's great that he can showcase he has that range, but I feel like he needs to just showcase his full range. So here, the way that he came in and started duetting, harmonizing with Kenneth in different pitches, like Kenneth doing like the little bit of the lower register and Kawe doing the falsetto, and a couple of times like you could tell he was taking his cues from Kenneth. Okay, this is the line and this is where I'm gonna come in. Shows just how professional they all are, but like they both are in this case, being able to jump into the song and try to and like learn the vibe as you go and like improvise how to do the specific line. And then the way that he knew, okay, I can't keep going falsetto, so he dropped it to his chest voice, and then that was like a nice key change because it also helped emphasize the feeling of that specific sentence, that lyric that he was singing. But again, Drew at the end when he came in and just like saved the little challenge and like sang in his falsetto. Oh my gosh, so proud of Drew. So proud of Drew. And then the last one, we gotta bring back our favorite Boricua. Todo de ti. And they're like dancing.
Let's go.
I feel like Gawi's not only like the visual, he's also the mood maker.
El viento soba tu cabello. Me matan esos ojos bellos. Me gusta el
I love it,
color,
Gawi's vocal color.
el color y cómo me hace sentir.
What is he doing? Exactly, Kawe.
Ese labial rosita y cómo me besas a mí.
Scandalous.
Quiero despertar, hacerlo después de fumar.
Y
Ya no tengo nada que buscar, algo fuera de aquí. Tú combinas con el mar, ese bikini se ve fenomenal. No hay gravedad que me pueda elevar, me pones mal a mí. Aceleraste mis latidos. Es que me gusta todo de ti, de tu actuar, de cuál decido.
Es que me gusta todo de ti. And then our little dancers over there, Alejandro and Kawe and Drew.
El último los dos. We're vibing.
Es que me gusta todo de ti. Tenor. Oh my God.
Nosotros somos
Santos Bravos.
Bravos.
I love their interactions. They're really like so wholesome, except for when Gaby's getting scandalous. He's like, "¿Cómo me haces sentir?" And he's like, "You know what you're doing, bro." And then poor Gawe's like, "What?" And this is obviously, you know what Gaby's referencing. So that's one of the things that it's like, sometimes people of a specific age shouldn't be singing specific songs. The same thing I've said even during the Santos Bravos. And yes, a lot of people have said like, oh, it's just the culture, and our culture, it doesn't matter what age you are. You know, everybody, all the kids, teenagers are singing these songs. That doesn't mean it's appropriate, you know? Obviously, it's not like explicitly saying what they're talking about, but it's inferred. When the reason I'm saying this is because I was like, why are they singing Jungkook 7 days a week? They're singing the clean version where it's like, night after night, I'll be loving you, right? But if you guys know what the other version is, it's what are they doing 7 days a week? And why is Kenneth the one singing that song? Kenneth cannot be doing that 7 days a week. So why was he the one that had to sing that song? So I think it's because it was the most vocally challenging song. I think it was Kenneth, and who else did it? Who else was it? Oh, like it was Kenneth and Kawe, like the two youngest. Even though yes, Kawe is 19 now, but it's like that is not an age appropriate song. None of you two should be doing nothing like that 7 days a week, especially if it's the version featuring Lotto, like her rap. But anyways, I was like, ugh, scandalized. But yeah, I love that they did the segment in hello82 because again, they got like this time they got to not only showcase their personalities but also their vocals, so people can say they can't sing. And I have seen comments of like, oh, finally Hive's first vocally strong group. Again, all of the artists under Hive labels have good vocalists. It's just that they're not always making ballads, you know, because if you want to have like a well-rounded discography, you can't just make ballads. Otherwise you would just be a soloist that does ballads. You would be Luis Miguel, and even then he didn't always just do ballads. He changed it up, you know. But yeah, like I love our boys. I love that they got to showcase themselves, like all aspects of themselves, all the different facets, their personalities, their camaraderie, their talents, their vocals, everything. I think like what I'm calling it, like the Korean press tour did exactly what it's supposed to do, which was give them exposure to a brand new market and showcase who they are as artists and why they deserve, you know, the support and the fame and the popularity that they've been receiving. And then I just want to wrap up this wrapping up the Korean tour. Obviously we saw the announcement that they're going to be doing a documentary called Uri Family, which is our family, nuestra familia. I think the first episode drops tomorrow, which is basically encapsulating their time in Korea. Because as you know, one of the things that I didn't talk about a lot about is that how much they were being spotted outside of their scheduled events. And this is like a problem that happens a lot in Korea, especially with like the super hardcore fans that sadly are usually mostly from China. That is what eventually they get called sasang, which are stalkers, because they get so infatuated. And I was a little bit scared for them, not to lie. They get so infatuated with the artist that they're supporting that they follow them everywhere, and they feel that they're entitled to know everything about them. So yes, even though some of us or some people outside, like from Latin America, thought, oh my God, they're being supportive, at no point should any artist be followed around when it's not a scheduled activity, an announced activity, when the fans are being encouraged to show up to support, like they were encouraged to show up for like the music shows, like Music Bank, all those tapings. It is very common, and they even set up outside barricades so the fans can come see them leave and enter the buildings. That's totally fine because it's encouraged by the studio. And then a lot of the times it's encouraged also like for fans to apply to go to the tapings. But those are like scheduled events. It's when they're walking around, when they're going to restaurants, where they're at restaurants eating, where they're filming their content that's obviously not out and that our fans are spotting them. That's when it's the problem. That's when it's like you're infringing on their private lives, and you shouldn't be. Like, I personally, I don't like to watch those types of videos of our fans. Like, oh my God, I saw them at the restaurant and I filmed them and I asked them. Yes, they're going to be nice to you. They're going to say hi. They're going to take photos, because they're not going to be outright rude, because then it's going to spread like, oh, they were the rudest and they were so entitled and they thought they were too good, blah, blah, blah. So they have to grin and bear it and be nice to the people that are there, even though, you know, they internally probably want to say like, I can't believe this person found me again. They're following me around. But yeah, anyways, we saw that obviously they were recorded or filmed or photographed walking around with a camera crew. So they were filming content, and that was for this documentary, Uri Family, Nuestra Familia. So there, I think it's like 7 episodes that's going to be dropping weekly, which is going to encompass the whole time in Korea. I'm excited to see it because we're going to get to see the behind the scenes of them preparing for all the music shows, all the appearances they made, all the different variety shows that they made appearances on, like on YouTube that we've seen, the radio shows, the Idol Radio and the radio with the other personality. I'm forgetting his name. So that's going to be super exciting, but I feel like it was a perfect time now that I finished watching everything that they appeared on, because literally finally it happened. Our boys met BTS. Yesterday was the last day of the Mexico stop, and yes, I did watch all 3 Mexico shows through very, very nice Mexico Army that were live streaming it on like socials. So I got to see them. Obviously got to see that they posted the video when they arrived. So I was like, yes, I hope they meet. And then eventually when Gawe posted, we just met BTS, I was like, finally, the biggest fanboy got to fulfill his dream. And the way that he was posting on Weavers, you know, saying like, this is proof. He posted his photo of when he was a little kid, you know, talking about like, he remembers back then people were kind of discouraging him, telling him like, you're there all the way in South Korea, like when are you ever going to meet them, like kind of like put your feet on the ground. But literally full circle moment, he kept the hope alive, and he literally said like, dreams do come true, keep fighting for your dreams. Basically, obviously we're not going to all become artists, but you know, we all have different goals that you want to achieve, and that's proof that like, if you put your best foot forward and you try and you don't say no, you don't give up, eventually something positive will happen. So I'm so excited that he finally got to meet them. And I say he because obviously he's literally genuinely an army from like, for years, almost like a debut army. He's been following them since 2014 and then debuted in 2013. So that's like dedication. I love that they were still showing up. All they showed up with their Arirang merch and with their army bombs, their light sticks, and they were having an amazing time at the shows. And I knew it. I was looking for them during the Idol walk, because when BTS sings the song Idol, they do a lap around the stadium saying hello to all the fans. And then once that's done, it's army time, which is when, you know, they're backstage doing their outfit changes. But it's army time because army gets to hold up their signs and they get showcased on the screens. And during that time was when Santos Bravos came on the screen. So I was so happy because when I remember the Korean concerts, even though Santos Bravos went, they were the only artists that weren't featured on the screens on the 3rd day of the Goyang. You saw all the other Hive artists featured on the screen, because I think that day it was, I think Le Seraphim Cordes and Boy Next Door were there, but so was Santos Bravos. But Santos Bravos wasn't featured. It was the only other ones. But it makes sense because none of the Korean fans would know who they are. So fast forward, now that they're back in Mexico and their hometown, and now that BTS is the ones visiting for their concert, they get featured because their hometown Mexico is gonna know who Santos Bravos is. So they get to also be showcased a little bit. So I really love that. I was like, yes. And I love that they had their signs that was like, show us your muestra nuestro lado bravo, and then like, together we look brutal. So they tied in, you know, their name and like a lyric from so I love that they finally got to see like, not only like what their future could be in a couple years, like touring, performing at the same GNP in Mexico, but also seeing that they have like, obviously they know they have such a solid fan base, but all the Army Dual that were there, they're also cheering for them. And then finally meeting BTS. I know they just released like a little mini clip of when they were in backstage and Gawe talking about like first, like how Hobie was the first one to come in and like break the moods, break the tension, and like Namjoon mentioning Kawasaki, so it's like, oh my god, they know our song, you know, they actually know who we are. That's one thing that I do appreciate of BTS and why like they're my alt group, because they're always going to be showing support to their juniors in the Hive family, the Hive artists. They've been showing support by posting their music and posting their challenges, and then like by acknowledging that, like, I know that your song is this, I know that, you know, you're a new artist, and like giving them the time to meet backstage in the midst of their outfit changes, because it looks like the meeting was during one of the outfit changes, because they didn't meet right before the show. I think it was after, in between, probably like a little bit after army time, in between there, I don't know, but I still want them to drop the photo. I don't know if they will though, because none of the Hive artists that met them backstage have posted any photos. Only like their close friends and families that are invited backstage posted photos with BTS, but none of the Hive members, none of the Hive groups that were at the shows posted photos. So I don't know if we're gonna get an actual photo from Santos Bravos, or if we're gonna see it later in a Bangtan Bomb, in a BTS sketch when it's like a wrap up of the tour. So we'll never know, or we never know. It might be an episode 7 of Uri Family. We never know. But anyways, I'm so glad that their Korean promo schedule was so successful, and that they lo cerraron con broche de oro en México, conociendo a BTS. Es todo encapsulado, perfecto, en todo perfecto del principio a fin. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the 3 last shows that I hadn't seen, their appearances on Snap Cuteness with SBS Inkigayo, the Daebak Show with Eric Nam, and then their little dynamic on hello82. Let me know what you guys thought of each appearance, like from each channel. What were the items? What were the things you guys noticed? The things that you liked the most? The things that made you laugh? Especially like with the Daebak Show and with the hello82 dynamics. I think those were like my top favorite ones. The Snap Cuteness, I liked it because it showcased, like I said, Alejandro's appreciation for the Korean culture. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I don't know if I'm going to be reacting to every episode of Uri Family. I know I'm behind on reacting to Gavi and Alejandro's episodes of the little documentary, so I want to catch up on that. So depending on how the Uri Family document, like little mini series is, if there's something that I feel like I need to comment on or talk about with you guys, I'll come in, but I can't promise you that I'll be reacting to each episode, just so you guys are aware. And then obviously they're still in their promotion, like all the festival tours, obviously the things they've been nominated for. I don't know if like anything else has been added on top of like the different stops that they've been hitting countries. I really can't wait for them to get to Brazil, for Kawa to be in his homeland. I feel like that's going to be really emotive. So, and I know that the fans are really going to show up for him. So I can't wait to see that. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll see you next time.